Inshallah, for the YouTube recording, we will restart the opening, inshallah. Prayer. Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إني كنت من الظالمين. Inshallah, for the YouTube recording, we will restart the opening, inshallah. Prayer. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. How can I say من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله.
So I just muted you, so we cannot hear you right now, but you need to X out of the YouTube video. And once you X out, then you can unmute yourself so we don't hear the echo like you probably hear the echo. But you need to X out of the YouTube video.
I unmuted myself on YouTube, okay?
And once you X out, then you can unmute yourself. So I just muted you on Zoom again. You have not X'd out the YouTube video yet. That's why we hear it whenever you unmute yourself. Hold on, I'm gonna unmute you so you can speak.
I don't know how it works. No, you will take care of it. Okay. Inshallah, our friend Farah is going to moderate the class today. Now, the mic is hers. Please go ahead, Farah.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. This is, inshallah, our 19th gathering, deeply reflecting on the statement, in the name of God, the Merciful, the Compassionate. Our aim in this particular series of discussion has been to understand the practical significance of this statement, how to live by it, and how to apply it in our lives. In other words, how can our beings express the claims contained within the statement? How can we express it rather than merely verbally reciting it? And how does the relationship with this statement, our relationship with this statement or the meanings contained within it, shape our and define our identities? So there are certain things that we keep in mind when we are analyzing and studying statements such as this. And one of them is that for anything to transform and dictate the human worldview, it has to satisfactorily and reasonably offer an explanation for the most fundamental issue of our life, of our existence, which is who we are and why we are here. And so this is the general lens with which we've been discussing this topic. Today, we are continuing to concentrate on the part of Al-Rahman, the Merciful, reading from the first word, the third mystery. I'll mention some of the important conclusions we've made up until this point. And after reading the paragraph that will start from, "O man, if you're truly a human being," what we'll do is that I will be able to summarize our learnings, especially from the last few weeks, that are relevant to our discussion today. I'll pose questions, some thoughts, and as always, all of your participation is very beneficial and essential to learning from each other, inshallah. So, one of the first steps in our discussion has been to define the nature of existence of anything, and this includes the nature of the human being, defining who we are. And this has been reasonably done from the perspective, from our own individual perspectives, so that we are able to confirm these statements and within ourselves using our abilities of reason and our senses. One of the first things that we did, and that pertains to the first part of the statement, in the name of God, was to determine and establish that anything in existence, its nature is that it's created, that it is a result of coming into creation by an agent, by an actor, and its existence in and of itself points towards the necessary existence of the creator of that thing. So an analogy that we use very often and is very powerful and very simple is of a book. Upon seeing any book, within the existence of the book, you conclude, or you are able to say with certainty, that it has a writer, that all the words and all the meanings contained within it point towards a writer, because there is no evidence, there is no reason that these words written on the paper have some ability to write themselves. And so for these words to then, again, taking the analogy of the book, impart any meaning, points that the writer of this book must be someone who is able to consciously communicate with me and knows who I am as a reader, because this writer talks to my abilities as a reader. And so we apply this analogy of a book to the universe in general, calling it the book of the universe, where everything in creation as a word points to the existence of the writer or its creator. In the universe, we also observe everything to be dependent and in constant need of sustenance. This sort of behavior that we observe in the universe, we say that through their need, everything proclaims this fact that it must be created, must have been created, that it must be being sustained by something, by a single owner capable of sustaining and creating it. And to say that everything says in the name of God means that it is within its existence proclaiming this fact about itself. I noticed in our discussions that as we began the discussion of the merciful, to my observation, the conversation started to shift from establishing this logical, reasonable conclusion about the nature of existence to being more specific about the nature of existence of the human being. And this idea that the whole universe turns towards man, hastening to meet his needs, and man being the object of creation. So similarly, when we establish the nature of man, another analogy quickly that helps illustrate is thinking about a fetus in a womb. We define that fetus as utterly weak and dependent and vulnerable and completely in need of the womb for its survival. Without those conditions, it will probably cease to exist. So taking the human being as this analogy for the fetus being the human being, we define that this fundamental need for man, for a human being, was this need for meaning, or this need for conscious engagement with everything in creation. And human beings find themselves in a similar position where they're in constant need for this meaning. Obviously, they have their physical needs, but the thing that really defines a human being is the need for conscious meaning, or meaning gained through consciousness. And a constant need, this need is constant, as is the nature of creation. And so man is constantly looking for meaning, and this we defined as the existence of meaning in the universe as divine mercy. So today, inshallah, we'll begin with this reading, and through this reading, we'll be able to also revise some of the points that we especially mentioned in the last few weeks. And if there are any questions at any point, obviously you have the raise hand icon, so please feel free to use it. O man, if you are truly a human being, say, in the name of God, the merciful, the compassionate. Find that intercessor. For sure, it is clearly, self-evidently divine mercy, which, without forgetting or confusing any of them, raises, nurtures, and administers the innumerable plant and animal species on the earth at precisely the right time and with perfect order, wisdom, and beneficence, and stamps the seal of divine oneness on the face of the globe of the earth. The existence of divine mercy is as certain as the existence of the beings on the face of the earth. So do the beings offer evidences of its reality to their own number. So, as I mentioned, our discussion of the last few weeks has particularly sort of centered on this idea of the human being being in. So one thing was interesting to me just from a practical standpoint, which was that we often use this statement in our daily lives as the beginning before starting an act, before the beginning of ritualistic or non-ritualistic activities. And the other thing is that it is also often repeated. And so I wanted to also look at the significance of this statement as the beginning of something and its significance in our lives of it being repeated. So one of the things that I was thinking about was, because when we established that divine mercy is this existence of a meaning that that as a human being, I'm consciously able to connect with, this connection begins you could say my relationship with the source of this mercy. And so by acknowledging and by recognizing that everything proclaims the existence or points towards its creator, the next steps becomes, for me, or as a human being, to take this recognition and then connect myself to this creator so that I get to know who he is. And this begins a conversation, a relationship between me and my source. And it is through the need that I had for meaning that I seek the one who can satisfy it. And once I recognize or encounter it, I'm invited, as the author points out through many examples here, specifically coming from the previous paragraph also, but coming into the next paragraph, about how everything in nature is demonstrating and subjugating itself to demonstrate man's importance. And so I take this idea of everything subjugating or addressing man as an invitation for man to then discover, to think deeper, to investigate, to analyze what are these qualities and what are they telling me about my needs, so that I may be able to, through my needs, connect with the one who can satisfy them. The other thing that we sort of came from taking in from the previous week especially was this idea of the universe being a school, or a yes, the idea of the universe as a school, as a place of training. And this is perhaps also connects with what we are supposed to do with the things that we observe. The fact that we, through the school of the universe, through the manifested qualities in creation, we are given the opportunity to develop our abilities to recognize the qualities manifested and get to know about the source of, or who the source of these qualities is. So what I'll also do while we speak is that I will post some questions that I thought will be beneficial for us to not only just recap some of the discussion that we've been having, but also get your thoughts on this. So the first question that I thought was, and we discussed this in the past, this idea of the intercessor. We talked about the intercessor as the thing that helps us. Sorry. We talked about the intercessor as the thing that helps us get us what we need. And so to give a simple example, if there's a little child and he or she wants to get, let's say, food or something, he knows that through his mother, he can get what he needs. And so his mother becomes the intercessor to getting what he needs. So we discussed the idea of divine mercy being an intercessor, which is the concept of taking this opportunity of consciously engaging with the meaning existing in the universe to connect with the creator of these qualities. And as I said, cultivate and invest in developing a relationship, a constant relationship, a conversation with the source of our being. So why is it that, in your opinions, the author, asks us to find that intercessor if it is clearly self-evident? Perhaps what is it required of the human being that is implicit in this statement of find, that we should be, that we can think about in this? The next question that came to mind was like, what are the concepts of perfect order, wisdom, and beneficence have to do with divine mercy? And further, there was a statement that I wrote, and I open to comment and criticism. Is this a plausible statement that the merciful must be a single source of existence and the single source of existence must be merciful? Do they both prove each other, is the question. And this has particularly to do with the sentence at the bottom, where the stamps the seal of divine oneness on the face of the globe. And the last, or for this paragraph at least, is this concept that I think we've discussed a couple of times, but it's coming up again, which is the idea of divine mercy being as certain as the existence of the beings on the face of the earth. And what does this mean? For divine mercy to be as existence as and even in this, I wasn't sure of how to understand this last part of they offer evidences of its reality to their own number. I struggled with the language part of this, but perhaps people can help explain this. So at this time, please feel free to repeat anything that may have been said, to use any of these questions to shape your thoughts. It doesn't have to be in any particular order. These are just to guide a thought process. And I'm sure you will be thinking from your own perspectives too. And while I give you guys or everybody some time to think, the part that I would probably for me has been something that I'm trying to get deeper to is this concept of using divine mercy as an intercessor to get to know more about my creator or the creator of this universe. And I know that divine mercy also encompasses within it other qualities. We talked about the quality of wisdom before, that we find divine mercy to be also defined by wisdom in the sense that things have a balance, that things have a specified purpose. There was an example given earlier in earlier discussions where I was thinking about a simple example, like water, for example, is so essential to our existence. We cannot survive without it for more than a few days. Yet, in large quantities, in enormously large quantities, it is enough to, kill man. So on one side, it is so essential to our existence, and on the other side, it is also something that is detrimental to our bodily existence. So there is also we cannot, obviously, physically speaking, not take more than a certain amount of water, let's say, at a given time. And so this particular design or this planning or this organization also points to the fact that the one who gave me water is also merciful in the sense that he also defined for me my needs and my capability in consuming it and the types of water that I can consume. So going back on the topic of, the fact that what I was trying to highlight was that divine mercy opens for me other qualities also, where there's an intermingling or like an interaction of different attributes that come together for a single purpose. I look at the tree and I see qualities of the sustainer in it. The one who is not only sustaining me from the fruit of the tree, but also the different plants and animals and other beings associated with that tree. Not only is there an organization and a system of justice that exists within the tree where every little being is getting its due share from it, but the tree as a whole also, taking this interaction of these qualities, the tree as a whole also represents an opportunity to me to, I guess, interact with the existence of the tree through the different qualities. But I would admit that this is the part where I personally am also trying to get deeper around, is what does it mean to get to know one's creator, and what is this training, or what is the school of universe that we are in? My question then also becomes, what is it that we are being trained for? It cannot just be to know the meaning of life, it cannot be as simple as that. It has to go beyond of just knowing why am I here, or that why am I here has to do with, I guess, I'll take the hand. Shahira, please go ahead.
Assalamualaikum. Thank you so much, Farah, for that beautiful introduction and summary of today's class. I too am still very much intrigued by the concept of an intercessor. And in the previous discussions, we talked about how Bismillah is an interpreter or an expression of our sincere thanks to the Creator, and also as an intercessor, because due to my nature and my existence, I require an intercessor to beseech His mercy. So what struck me as particularly interesting about your explanation today was that divine mercy, I used to think of like Bismillah as an intercessor for divine mercy, but today you mentioned divine mercy as an intercessor in itself. So I think that opens up, a brand new discussion. You asked, why does the author use the word find if it is clear and self-evident? That's a very good question. And I was thinking of the same thing. And as I was reflecting on that question, I was looking around in my room, and, a lot of things in this room are self-evident. But if I were to say to myself, I need to find something, I still need to sift through a lot of things to find what I need. So perhaps divine mercy has been manifested in our lives in so many ways that we need to find it and to identify it and to be aware that it is a form of divine mercy. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Shahira. That's kind of also similar to how I was thinking about this command to find is this, I guess this, it's self-evident, but it's also, as you said, it requires, or it's inviting us to use our abilities to make that decision, to make that effort to reflect deeper. We hear birds and trees and, existence is so obviously in front of us, but I think it does require a effort on our part to dedicate our ability and our thoughts in actually going deeper into it and engaging with it on a conscious level, and not just looking at it on a cursory, just saying, okay, something is sustenance is merely not enough for who a human being is defined to be. And yes, this idea that you mentioned, we also talked has been carrying on from a few discussions, that this statement is an interpreter for our existence in the way that it unlocks or it opens up on how to understand or connect with what our existence is to us. Host, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. It's a beautiful introduction and summary. I just benefit from it and just recap everything what we have discussed so far. It was interesting. I found it interesting to say, or you said that water is being essential for our existence, but at the same time, too much water may cause some flood and some sort of destruction in my life that I don't like them. But it is a good point to mention this, because I have to understand that is it the water who is really satisfying my needs, functioning as the essential, as an essential element in my life? or something else. So I see that water itself is not conscious, that's obvious, but at the same time, we may think that water is interceding between me and my needs. Is it really true? Now we have to understand that water is not really answering my need. It is not really coming to my aid itself, because in and of itself, it doesn't have free will, but also it may be a useful means for my life and also maybe harmful, destructive means for my life. So I question this. As far as my bodily needs are concerned, I have a connection with water. But how about my human needs? It means, it's a very simple way of understanding in our practical life that the water satisfies me now and disappears. That moment it goes away, and what I need, a permanent source of satisfaction. Permanent source of satisfaction, whether the water itself is permanent, or is it that the water is not permanent, it is transit as I am, but the one who employed the water is permanent for me. But the question still remains there. I cannot avoid the question. So since the creator of water, whoever employed it for me, gave existence to it and made it made it serve me for my needs, also is treating me in a different way, saying, or by creating water in a useful way, majority of the time, but sometimes in a harmful way. It must be his choice, the creator's choice, not the water's choice. It is employed. We know that it cannot give existence to itself, it cannot have free will. So I go into the subject, or into the question that, why do I think, according to my understanding, the creator of water is treating me in a merciful way majority of the times, but sometimes in a harmful way? I think I understand that in this way, the creator is saying, look, the action of the water is not left to the water. It is under my command. I can create it in this way, in another way. So don't misunderstand and forget about me. I am the one who employs it. So in order to let you understand that, it is not the water which is coming to your aid. It is me who is coming to your aid. Sometimes I create it in such a way that you don't like it. So what you have to do now, of course, take precautions as far as your physical relationship with the water is concerned. So make your residence in a safe way, try to protect yourself from the harm of this, for example, the flood, or anything happens in the sea that the water comes, we know that tsunami or this kind of things. So protect yourself from there, but at the same time, this is your physical protection. How about your human protection, mental protection, emotional protection, to feel secure within your own existence? So you have to understand that in this world, your body needs water, but your human side needs the mercy of the creator of water. So if you acknowledge the mercy of the creator of water by not deviating from this relationship and going back to the water itself, you see that water has no free will. And I'm teaching you that, look, if you think that only water is functioning in your life, it is under my control. It is under my will. So I am employing it. I am giving you the opportunity to see that water cannot choose anything, but I have chosen for you to be in this position. You physically need water, and when you receive it, don't think that water is interceding, but my mercy, which reaches you through water, is interceding you. So if you acknowledge my mercy in creating water and attaching yourself to me, connecting yourself to me, when I create the water in a harmful way for you, you have to come back to me. But physically, you have to run away from water. But from your feelings, you have to come back to me and seek refuge with me, saying that, please, my merciful creator, I need your mercy. I need your mercy, so that we are given opportunity to interact with my creator, to connect myself with my creator through two ways. One way is to acknowledge him that he is the source of all beneficent creation. The other way is very important, but usually because we are given the sense not to like it, people may miss the point there. When water, this is the other way, when water is created in a way that it harms me, physically I run away from the water, protect myself from becoming overcome by water and maybe sinking me and being a cause of death for me within the conditions of physical conditions of this world. While you are physically trying to escape from water, you have to take refuge with me, saying that, acknowledging that water is under my command. Water cannot act by itself. It is under my command. And you need to acknowledge that the creator of the water, as the creator of the water, I am the one who is asking you to come back to me, to connect to me, to acknowledge me, and seek refuge with my mercy, saying, oh, merciful creator, I need to run away from this dangerous creation. It's your creation, but I seek refuge from your creation to or with you again. This way of acknowledging the creator is usually misevaluated, misused by me. I don't know about others. I get disappointed with my creator, saying that, no, well, I was young and you gave me old age and I am not really pleasant with this kind of creation that you are giving to me. So I would like to go back to my previous position that you made me love. So I love my youth. Give me my youth back. And this way I am acknowledging through my old age, or through my illnesses, or through the flood, I am acknowledging that I am in need of the creator of the illnesses. I am in need of the mercy of the creator of old age. I am in need of the mercy of the creator of flood. This way of communicating with my creator, again, depends on my recognition of the creator as being a merciful one, so that at the end of my life journey, I will become aware of my source of existence, and I will educate myself. I will have the opportunity to educate myself how my position was before him and who he was while I was living in this world, or as you described it in the school and the training place of this universe. Training for what? To get to know my creator in the best way that I can, but through two ways. One, acknowledging the beneficence I receive from him. Two, acknowledging my need to take refuge with him. In both ways, I understand that I am a needy one and a dependent one, and the creator, my creator, is the one who provides everything. The problem is we are here to get to know that we are being educated, we are given the opportunity to be educated in this world. For what? To get to know who my source of existence is, who my creator is, and how can I get to know him and connect my existence, my needs to him, not to what he has created here, which is the world, this universe, but in fact, connect myself to him. That's why when I acknowledge that he is my merciful creator, I need his mercy. When I am in trouble, out of what he has created, I seek refuge with him, emotionally or consciously. But physically, I seek refuge from, try to run away from the physical harm of the things that he has created. But mentally, I am conscious of him and acknowledge my position that I need him. I think that is it, what I would like to share with you from my side, and other participants also should have the turn. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ali, for reminding of a very important point. And, you know, obviously, the floor is still open, and I will definitely fill the space. What I was also thinking is that for whatever reason, I think because of our nature as human beings, we tend to forget this second point that you were highlighting, that in times of trouble or in adversity or things that we seemingly don't have a liking towards, we somehow don't look at the mercy in it. And to me, on a logical basis, I'm reminded of, you know, an error that we make in the sense that if in the beginning we establish that the nature of the creator has to be not limited by time and space, that he must be, in other words, absolute and eternal, then his mercy should also in no way be limited to something that I may like and something that I may not like. And that everything is that moment to turn my attention towards looking for that mercy. And I guess maybe going back to the author's point of finding it is also our responsibility to look for it, to investigate it. And this was a point that I think we discussed and was mentioned last week, that let's say in the face of some presumable, issue that I don't like, or we don't have a liking towards, I've struggled to see mercy in this. And this is a very common, I think, complaint of believers, non-believers, that, why does the one who created, do something so violent or so harmful to the beings? And I think in those cases, where we also have the ability to do, not only just exercise our logical sort of reasoning in the fact that his absolute mercy should be manifested at this time, but also I feel we have the right and we have the will and the ability to ask him to show us, to teach us. And I think that very much lies within our free will to do. And again, this concept of finding can also apply to asking or exercising our will to ask for it. So that was a thought that was coming. And then this connecting back again with this idea of, why is this statement so repeated so much in the verbal speech of the Creator, but also in our daily lives? And I think listening to what you had to say, I guess it served as a reminder that even in any situation, we have this key, as we talked about, or this sort of interpreter to remind ourselves, to use this to renew our connection, to continue, or to, to left off where we started from. And it serves as a continuous reminder. So even in face of some adversity, in reflecting on the meaning of this statement, it should serve as a reminder of what we had concluded, so that we can apply and practice it in that moment. And it is quite a true fact that I think we take our lives and our daily activities take it for very granted, where we, or at least I often find myself doing things without any regard to the source of the existence. It seems like many steps in thinking, I'm just trying to drink water, but I am trying to also think about so many steps. But I understand that this method of doing things is, and the particular point of discussing this statement in the way that we're discussing here, is so that this becomes internalized, that it becomes part of my being, so that maybe for the first maybe hundreds, thousands of times or more, tens of thousands of times, I have to consciously remind myself of the existence or the nature of existence of the water and of me. But over thousands of times perhaps, or as many times as we will drink water in our life, that it becomes a part of my consciousness, whereby the way that I actually think about water, or the feeling of being thirsty, it is within and of itself a pointer to the creator of the need for thirst. Just like we talked about the book in and of itself, like without asking any other question, without looking for anything, you look at the book and you say, of course, there must be an author. So I also look at my need for thirst, or my feeling of the need of thirst, as instantaneously as as we are taught to look at anything in creation in general. H. Beza, please go ahead. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Are you able to hear me okay?
Yes,
Okay.
perfect.
Cool. Thank you for your comprehensive summary and all the thoughts that have been shared so far. I was thinking about the what's been said in relation to the first question that you've asked about divine mercy being an intercessor, and this finding of it as you've been speaking about it right now. And like with the two different ways that our friend was talking about here, as far as me seeing the divine mercy and how both, one being acknowledging the beneficence that I receive from my source of existence, and secondly, in the situations where I find something unpreferable to me, seeing that or acknowledging my need and taking refuge in him. Since both situations are connected to my needs, I guess, I was thinking, if I stay with my need itself as looking to itself, then it tells me nothing. It only bears the bad news that I am infinitely needy, and I am in need of basically infinite factors within the universe coming together to make, to make sure that my needs are met. So when I, what does it mean for divine mercy to be an intercessor? I was thinking about, I guess, like my own needs. Is the state of being needy itself has the potential to be an intercessor for me. So, and as I was thinking to myself, divine mercy, or rather, divine mercy not being like something out there within the universe for me to see or find out or discover, but rather something in my state of being, ready for me to detect it and apply it. So I guess with like the school example or the training example, the books and the information can be there in front of me, but I have to enroll in the class to be able to, quote unquote, find it. But it's not necessarily something external to me. It's something within me. And I guess in a way that makes it self-evident in terms of I have the potentiality to, easily see it for myself and confirm it, because so long as I enroll in the class, so long as I look for it, because the state of neediness is always there with me, no matter what state of being I'm in. Even if I may have been thirsty and I drank the water, I'm still needy of other things, and I'm infinitely needy. So I guess the state of need itself, not being one, the state of need itself being, it's not, I don't dislike the state of being needy, that because I actually like it when I feel thirsty and then I drink water, it's a lot more satisfying, for example, as opposed to if I never felt thirsty and I had to drink water, for example. But rather, if I have to, quote unquote, fight my way through the world, and try to make sure that my needs are met, then everything lacks mercy, because everything is against me, or I have to, somehow assert power or control that I don't have over things to make sure that they meet my needs, and my needs are endless. So it really puts me in a dilemma. So the way one new way that I was thinking about it right now was just this divine mercy, my state of neediness being this divine mercy itself, being an intercessor, that I'm able to interact with or communicate through at every single state of being, as long as I am aware of my state of being needy, and that that I am being sustained right here and right now.
Thank you, H. Beza. Definitely, this point that you're making of my state of neediness being an intercessor, I was thinking of the point that we discussed before, and I think I mentioned again, and it's been repeated a little bit, about the existence of divine mercy is as certain as the existence of the beings, or there's some sort of being as self-evident nature. And so I think you saying that my state of neediness is as an intercessor, you know, I feel it, in my opinion, it does sort of satisfy this sort of claim being made here that your state of neediness is also evidence for the necessary existence of divine mercy, or that it must exist. And I think there's a part in the paragraph about forgetting and confusing. And in thinking about it, I was able to maybe connect a little bit of what you were saying about this, the fact that you would have never, if you had never felt thirst and there was water, you would have probably felt confused, or you would have had a dilemma of what to do with it. So I guess this relationship that we see between, let's say, our needs and the existence of the answer to these needs forms or it exhibits a harmony, an order, which I also am noticing is perhaps something that is encompassed by divine mercy, that, you know, divine order, that everything is happening within a certain, let's say, measurement, with a certain reason, with us at a certain time. And also it is happening with a sense of justice, in the fact that your need is exactly met in that right specific quantity in which you feel it, and you have something exactly matching, something to respond to it. And so if we are taking this need on the consciousness level, perhaps if we think about it, the more we engage, the more we think deeper by this law of justice, we should expect, I guess, an equal response to our need. So I guess the deeper we ask, the more stronger our desire is to get to know who is the owner of this certain sense of quality that I may be experiencing within me or observing it in creation. I guess the more we desire to get to know, and the more we do our part in getting to know, justice or divine justice necessitates, and encompassed within divine mercy necessitates that I will be given an answer equivalent to it. So thank you for those thoughts. I think we have a really good group of participants, and I'm sure some of you might be really, really wanting to say something, so don't wait. And yes, please, host, go ahead.
I liked your comment on being needy as makes it certain that there must be a source which responds to my need. I mean, it is as evident as his existence, the merciful creator's existence, as evident as my need is there. And also, and it's a short extension to it, my questions, my inquiries, my wonders, what's going on in my life and what are they, all these things around me, so beautiful, wonderful, but at the same time, they are all transient. They are subject to death and disappear from this world. All these sort of questions, human expectations. I want this to be perfect, and nothing is really perfect as far as my life conditions are concerned, because I'm not fully satisfied with this creation. Yes, it provides something, but at the same time, I have some questions, expectations. At the end of the day, everything is dying. I'm going to die. What is the point? But I want not to die. I want to exist eternally. All these needs, all these questions makes it so evident that there must be an answer. The existence of questions is the sign for the necessary existence of the answers. So human expectations are given to us by our Creator. These are evidently demonstrating to me that the one who created me with these questions, with these needs, must be out there to satisfy those needs. So when we conclude that this universe has a creator, of course, the existence of the universe is, or makes it so evident that there must be a source of existence of this universe. That is how I conclude. The existence of must questions also, my questions also leads me to the conclusion that there must be an answer. That's why we have to acknowledge that this type of creation, although I am needy, although I have questions, I don't have the answer by myself, but I have questions. Although I am troubled with the way that this universe is created, because I'm going to die and disappear from the world. I'm troubled with it. This type of negative appearance of the world is also mercy for me to get to know that He is there. He is deliberately giving this need to me in order to teach me that He is the one who is ready to satisfy them. That's the only way I can learn. Otherwise, I will take it if it wasn't the case. I will either be in a desperate situation or always not satisfied, unsatisfied with the creation, complaining about it, or I will just say, this is the nature, how it is happening, forget about the answers, there is no answer, there is no purpose in existence, I happen to be like this, forget about anything, and expect to go into the grave with non-existence, with no end, no purpose. But human dignity is given to us. We cannot accept without having a purpose in our life. In our daily life, we always look for the purpose. Why am I doing this? But when it comes to our existence, we may not be as consistent as we are asking this question. Why do I exist? Why am I needy? Why all these things are provided to me, for me, so that I can question and I can reason and I can reach a conclusion. There must be a purpose. So we should not fall into contradiction with our reality. Since I am a being who looks for purpose for everything, all these positive and negative things that I like, I dislike, must have purposes. Thank you.
Thank you. You know, it's a very common statement, again, heard from anyone, believer, non-believer, atheist, not, you know, regardless of their background, that some questions are just too big, or there are questions you will never know the answers for them, or some questions, you know, people will say some questions don't have answers. And as you were pointing out, it's a contradictory statement for a question to exist without an answer. Like, you know, then it's perhaps a statement and not a question, because a question within in itself necessitates an answer, whether or not we'll know now, whether or not we can know by our own, as you mentioned, but it exists to be known, to be discovered. And it is true that while we find ourselves accepting that as human beings, we are immensely curious, you know, from a little child, you give him any piece of, you know, thing, whether even if it is a broken part of something, they inspect it with all their senses. And we carry these abilities with us throughout our lives. Yet we perhaps are not honest or sincere with ourselves in the fact that we apply this curiosity in certain parts of our life, in, let's say, the more practical parts of our life, but yet are afraid to bring that same sense of curiosity to existential questions, assuming that they will never be solved. But if you have the question, then I think you are immediately responsible to find some satisfactory answer to it. And it is within our nature as human beings that we don't tend to be satisfied by things that you know, are temporary in their nature. So right now we can still discuss one of the last or one of the statements, if people want to. It's the statement of the merciful must be a single source of existence, and the single source of existence must be merciful. I think it's a rather simple statement, it's just long, but it's something that we have established many a times, that the one, we do observe this, you know, just if you observe a bird or an ant, it's very interesting to observe that they fly with such a purpose. You know, they fly from one point, like a bird flies from one point to another point in a straight line and very quickly, and does something there and then flies to another point very quickly. And you have to but think to yourself that how if it definitely was there was no order in this universe that was, or there was an order that had some sort of like confusion in it, then maybe on the path of going somewhere, this bird should lose its way, or it shouldn't have this sense of direction and purpose, but it does. And clearly we see the bird following a very particular pattern throughout the day, showing that it has subjected its or its existence is submitted or is completely committed to the will of the one who must have created it, because it is doing things with such diligence and such commitment and such sort of consistency. And unlike human beings who one day may be having some motivation, but other days don't. So the one who is responsible for the creation of anything, including the entire universe, must be the one to also endow creation or anything in creation with the ability to fulfill its needs. And so this, you know, this has to match in this sense, not only logically, but also something that we observe. In this moment, if the host allows, we can continue to read the next paragraph, or we can also at the same time see if people want to collect their thoughts. Okay, please go ahead, Mercedes.
Hi, everyone. I'm very new to all these things, so I just wanted to give my thoughts. I think you were mentioning that you had a bit of trouble thinking about the last sentence about the beings offering evidences of its reality to their own number. And I think, or at least from my point of view, what this made me think of in the latest discussion now was that, you know, how we see that all animals and plants anywhere in the world kind of, they work together. There's this kind of harmony that we mentioned. And I think that this kind of goes back to part of the other sentence before that says that divine mercy raises, nurtures, and administers the innumerable plant and animal species on the earth at precisely the right time and with perfect order. And I think that is definitely evidence, just the number of fauna and flora that we see throughout the world in general in terms of quantity, but also in how they work with each other and how the needs, going back to this idea of the needs, how every individual being's needs are met, even if sometimes they might be difficult to be met, but they always are. And I think that, to me, kind of brings me back to this idea that there has to be, that the divine mercy is expressed in that, in what we witness. And I think that can be the same for us as well. That's it.
Thank you so much. Welcome, Mercedes. To the and I think that was a very good point about the relating the number to the idea of just the immense variety and diversity and the quantity of different species we see cohabiting, living together in harmony, and each of them is being satisfied in their need. Even in the same habitat, you have different species. You know, there's no sort of, I guess, fighting per se going on, or any, we don't necessarily observe, you know, things in nature unless there's a drought or, you know, some sort of calamity that things are going, animals are going hungry, or, you know, they are sort of struggling in trying to meet their need. But the sheer scale of creation and the diversity within it, and how it is being maintained in a perfect order, definitely helps us understand this idea of that things give evidence with their own number to the existence of divine mercy. So thank you so much. And welcome to the discussions. So we have a little bit of time left, so perhaps we can just read this paragraph, see how far we go, and begin our discussion on it. Just as there is the seal of mercy and stamp of divine oneness on the face of the earth, so on the face of man's nature is a stamp of divine mercy that is not inferior to the stamp of compassion and vast stamp of mercy on the face of the universe. Simply, man has so comprehensive a nature, he is as though the point of focus of 1,001 divine names. So there's this sentence that I got from a few pages earlier in relation to this concept of man's, the face of man. So the author in one of the few pages before mentions that on the face of the universe, the face of the earth, and the face of man are three stamps of dominicality, one within the other, and each shows samples of the others. So it's interesting that over here, the author specifically says that that the manifestation of, or the seal of divine mercy and divine oneness is not inferior on the face of the man's on the face of man as compared to, let's say, the face of the earth or the universe. So to say that there is I'm thinking that there is a certain sense of mirroring happening with the face of the earth, man, and the universe, where all what is shown in this world is also not only graspable by the human nature, or as you know, what is meant by this idea of man's comprehensive nature. Not only is man able to grasp and connect on a conscious level with the meaning, or recognize these qualities within the earth and the universe, and not only is he recognizing them, but also connecting with them, but there is a manifestation of these qualities within him too. Perhaps, again, in the form of his need for them, or his appreciation for the need for them. What you also have here is this idea that we bring back again, that the object of creation is man, that the Creator created all of this, keeping man, showing this, that everything subjugates, or in other words, imparts meaning to man, or is there for his service, for it to be understood by him, for it to be engaged by him, shows that the creator of this universe deems man important enough, and did not create things accidentally or out of some, that some inconsistency, but the fact that everything in creation, including man, points to a single purpose, and that is for man to realize this connection with his source of existence, and to get to know what his creator is trying to impart to him, or not trying to impart, but what is meant for him to learn from his source of existence. And the fact that all of these things, all of these qualities are already here within us, within creation, waiting to be uncovered, waiting to be discovered by man. So this idea that man is the focus of 1,001 names, in one sense, I think that it has to do with man's ability to comprehend, to recognize, and attach his existence through their understanding to the Creator. That's one. And I guess that's the only one that I can understand as the purpose of man being the focus of the 1,001 divine names, or him being, I guess, a counterpart, or his face of man being a counterpart to the face of the earth. Yes, host, please go ahead.
Thank you for this summarizing the content of the paragraph we read. what this paragraph reminded me is that we think that we are taught that the laws of nature, the order of the universe, how the things are created, never change. Yeah, in my interaction with the order, I do the same action, I take the same action, I get the same result. Yeah, it seems to be order is not changing, but at the same time, everything within this order has a unique way of coming into existence. It means order is not changing, but it doesn't mean that the creator of the order doesn't have any free will. So they are both at the same time manifested in this world, that by making the order not changing, I know how to communicate with the universe so that I can get whatever I need from the universe. And through this interaction with the universe, my consciousness, my human intelligence questions who is the source of existence of this order, and goes back to the source of existence of the order, which means, yes, this order is deliberately organized. It needs a conscious creator. Here I am really experiencing the result of conscious choice. But at the same time, everything is created in a unique way, as the text we read, the last paragraph we read today, demonstrated that everybody has an individual personality. Now we know that everybody's, everyone's body works in an individual, unique way of working or existing. So this individual medicine studies, etc., individualized medicine studies, and genetic structure of human beings need to be learned, all come from this reality that everybody, every being is created within a unique feature, which is, the text says, unique face. I am different from everyone. And every animal is different from the other animal. We are not like manufactured productions that everything comes out exactly the same. No, everything is given a unique feature. This unique feature reminds me that I am particularly chosen, decided, made in order to be me. It means my creator is not subject to the order of the universe. It is the agent, the creator of the universe, and doesn't have to follow its own order that he created the universe in it, in this order or with this order. It means, although the universe seems to be really, as this materialist people, secularist mind says, order never changes, everything is standard. So it continues forever like this. No, everything has been given a unique feature, unique type of existence. So we understand that the creator is absolutely free to give existence to everything according to their personalities. So if I understand that the universe and me is created particularly for me, so that communicate with the Creator through the universe, I understand that universe has been created for me in order to communicate with the Creator through the universe. And I am particularly meant to exist by my Creator. How precious I am. Particularly meant to exist by the choice of my Creator. So I have to appreciate it and use my ability to get to know my Creator through the witnessing of the universe out there in front of me, and also through my own reality, the way I am created. Everything is for me, I can say. And the other person also can say everything is for me, and no one really shares the other's universe. Everyone can have his own universe unique to himself or to herself. It's a beautiful structure of the universe. Thank you.
Thank you. So on this note that we are existing within our own unique universe, at the center, or being at the center of our own unique universe, I think it is a really beautiful analogy or picture in which you have the freedom and the excitement to explore and to get to know every corner of it as much as you can, because every detail in it was meant to be there for you to discover, for you to, or for us, or for me to look at it, to be amazed and be surprised. And upon seeing those surprises and being amazed, offering my sort of a gratitude in the form of, saying how wonderful this is, or, this is such a thoughtful or sweet gesture that I want to say thank you. So in some way responding back to it, inshallah. So on that note, I think we should conclude the session for today, given the time. So with the dua, inshallah.
Thank you very much for everyone who joined us, and also moderator. It was a beautiful discussion, very, very beneficial discussion. Inshallah, I would like to see you all on Monday for our Quran study session, and next Saturday, continuing this subject. Thank you very much. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim. وآخر دعواهم أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Amen. Thank you. I have to stop sharing, and also I have to stop YouTube. How?